Welcome to the CyberFed Show. I'm Dan Manson. I teach computer information systems at Cal Poly Pomona. Each week, this broadcast will cover the world of cybersecurity competitions, similar to a sports show. We believe cybersecurity competitions are like a sport. In these shows, we drill down into competitions and provide stories, scores, and statistics. We believe those that participate in competitions are cyber athletes with the same training, passion, and coolness, plus a few additions. The opportunities for these athletes to go pro is much greater. And in our world today, we are falling behind our real competition. This week, we are proud to begin CyberFed coverage of what we believe will be a game changer in the sport of cybersecurity competitions. Facebook has released its popular Capture the Flag as open source software on GitHub, available to anyone under a Creative Commons non-commercial license. The Facebook CTF has proved popular with middle school, high school, and college students wanting a fun, challenging way to learn cybersecurity with an interface that harks back to the old board game of Risk. Our cybersecurity community now has a free 24/7 playing field that anyone can set up and use to create and run CTF competitions for anyone, anytime, with the ability to create challenges and flags on any topic for any learning level. With me today is Matt Sprengel, a Cal Poly Pomona Computer Information Systems student who has played a variety of cybersecurity competitions, including the Facebook CTF. Matt, welcome back to CyberFed.
Thanks for having me again. It's good to be back.
Matt, this is one of the most exciting things I've seen in the world of cybersecurity competitions. To me, this is going to bring it to a much broader community. What do you think?
I completely agree with you. There's a lot of issues with people in the past who build their own cyber competitions, but they don't really have a great back end, or a lot of people are really interested, but they don't have the coding experience to build the back end portion of it. And there's a lot of services out there which are paid for, but this is the first one that's open source, free to the community, and there's Facebook engineers who are out there to help people out. There's a repository of challenges. It's a really just overall great thing for the community.
And this is not the first iteration of the Facebook CTF. We've played with earlier versions, and they seem to have gotten better with each version.
Oh yeah, and the new graphic interface is just amazing, and it looks great. I mean, it's almost as fun to look at as it is to play in.
So you downloaded it. You have it up and running.
I do.
What are the steps that someone has to go through to get it up and running, and how difficult is it?
There's a couple people who have had some issues already with it, but it is possible to do it. I recommend using the way that they provide with Vagrant. If you have any questions about how to do it, go to the Facebook CTF GitHub repository, and there's instructions there. I highly recommend the Vagrant way of doing it, though. It's much easier, and you literally, with one command, it does everything.
Now, the GitHub really provides a lot of support. I'm seeing a thread that is continually growing. People are responding to it. This is going to be a community-based CTF.
I completely agree, and it's gotten some really good press already. And I think with that and all the security community out there and a lot of people really interested in the growth of cybersecurity competitions moving forward, I don't see anything but endless possibilities.
So once someone has it up and running, they are free to add challenges.
Yes.
Can you walk us through how you add a challenge?
It's pretty simple using their interface. You can go to either flags or quiz, and you can add challenges. They will have a repository of challenges, I've been told, at some point. I don't know if it's up yet. But when they have that, it's going to be really nice, because in addition to creating your own, you have all the ones that they have already. So, but building a challenge, though, is pretty simple. You put in the question, you put in what the flag should be, you put in the number of points. You can even add hints and have it subtract off points when you add a hint. You can add additional files too, which I thought was really neat, because instead of having just your challenge built into the web interface, you can actually have them download a file or go to a link and then complete the challenge and then come back and put the flag in, which I thought was a really nice feature.
And there are some additional ways that you can use a challenge. You can use hints. What are some of the ways that you can have someone play the game?
There's basically one way to play the game is once you have all your challenges and stuff in, you click the play button. and it literally spins up the competition environment. It allows teams to register, and it resets every time. It's a really cool interface in that sense.
Now, with the CTF up and running, though, we have options, right? We have options in terms of the points and whether we choose to give hints. Can you walk us through some of the choices that you have in terms of implementing a challenge?
Oh, sure. There's a variety of different countries on the map. I forget the total number of countries. It's well over 100, though, so it's really neat that you can kind of pair quiz questions or flag answers to countries. And from there, you can enable or disable them, which is really neat. So you can have an entire repository of challenges and only use about 5 to 10 if you wanted to, or give them a sample of them. And then you can keep the rest of them in there, and it just works out really well. So with that and the fact that you can choose whether or not to have hints, and you can choose if you have a hint, if it loses points, it really makes it easy. So that way, if you want to have like a beginner CTF with hints and it doesn't take off points, you can do it one way. But if you want to have a more intermediate or difficult side of it that has hints, but that you lose points and stuff like that, there's ways to configure it.
How many can play the CTF, and how many do you need to have play the CTF? Can you basically have 2 people playing head-to-head, or you can have 20, 30, 40 teams playing?
Yes. It's a really nice interface. You can actually add teams in yourself, or you can have the teams people register. It's a really just nice overall interface. I played it yesterday against myself, just kind of to get a feel of how the teams worked and how the challenges work. And it was a really neat interface, and I'm glad I was able to get it up so fast.
Now this reminds me, because I played the game of Risk when I was much younger, of playing something like Risk, but what does it remind you of in terms of the type of game it is?
It's kind of like, I remember back when I originally played, a lot of people will remember this, was Star Wars Battlefront. They used to have this mode called Galactic Campaign, and you would basically go around the map claiming territories, and it really reminds me of that, and that was one of my favorite games growing up. So I thought it was a really cool experience, and I also played Risk too. I love board games, so both the Risk of it and playing Star Wars Battlefront, it really reminded me of both, and I really loved playing it.
Very cool. And you've had the Facebook CTF with Cyber Girls, so you've seen 7th graders use this, and then it's been played at the college level. How much of a range do we have available with this game in terms of age, in terms of skill level?
I think you can hit all ages and all skill levels, from everyone from security professionals all the way down to middle school, high school students. And the nice thing I think about this competition framework is it doesn't just have to be cyber competitions. You can use it for a variety of different things, whether it's cyber or just like trying to teach a class. So if you have a class that's a little more difficult, you can literally populate stuff into the Facebook CTF, and it can do all your stuff and make it more interactive and encourage students to really learn and dig into the material.
So how is a CTF a more fun learning environment than a traditional way of just reading chapters and answering questions?
Like the traditional thing, you're like motivated literally by whatever you kind of feel like to do. Like I don't really like reading the chapters and going through the questions at the end of it. But if you give me an interface like this where I can go and play, and it's a more competition style, and it kind of gets the adrenaline running, and it's like, I really want to beat my friend to knowing all this information and stuff like that, then it really works to your advantage.
Is this a step toward CTFs becoming something like a sport, something like an e-sport?
I think they already are in a sense. I mean, just look at the DEF CON CTF or National Cyber League. A lot of people really treat these as if they are a sport and they want to be number one. I know when I play those competitions, I've never played DEF CON, but I really would like to one day. But like in National Cyber League, I really want to be at the top of the leaderboard.
Mm-hmm. And in this case, it can be individual, it can be teams, it could be school versus school. The ability to scale is unlimited if you have the ability to keep spinning it up. And can you keep spinning it up? Can you have, with one location or using cloud service like AWS, can you have multiple instances of this game running at the same time?
I don't see any reason why not. You just have to do minor tweaks because by default, there's a certain set of settings that it runs on. So it runs on HTTPS and then an IP address by default, and it's the same IP address across the board with the same default admin username and admin password, which is something you have to be worried about and change, but it just opens it up for expandability and changing it with minor tweaks.
It's going to be a lot of fun in the future following the growth of the Facebook CTF as it spreads out to the community and as we see more and more creative ways of using this. whether it's at different age levels or whether it's as part of curriculum or part of professional learning for companies. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
In future CyberFed shows, we will dive deeper into the Facebook CTF and cover who is using it, what type of challenges are being created, what type of competitions are being run, and how you can be involved. Please go to our CyberFed YouTube channel to view all current and past episodes. I'm Dan Manson. See you next week.